1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Events. How are you guys doing? How have you guys been? Hope you guys have been phenomenal. This is episode 139, ladies and gentlemen, and we're calling this bad boy Ninja Style. Oppa Ninja Style. Now, we're just calling this bad boy Ninja Style. Went to a pretty dope show last night. For whatever reason, I don't often get out to these local shows like I want to. Every time I go, I'm like, fuck. I know half the room. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already know half the room. Like, usually it's a pretty comfortable time. When I go to these shows, I just, for whatever reason, I be watching UFC every Saturday, so, like, that really, fucks with me getting to shows a lot. But I went to a pretty dope show. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit. Talk about the show Bremen Cafe, and we're gonna talk about Atlanta season 3 episode 5. Cancer Attack is the name of that episode. Of course, we got to talk about Atlanta. We're gonna talk about UFC Vegas 51, headlined by Belal Muhammad taking on Vicente Luque 2, a rematch, ladies and gentlemen. And we're also going to talk about UFC Vegas 52 coming up next week. I believe it's UFC Vegas 52. It could not be. For weeks I've been talking about, like, what was it, like a month ago I was talking about UFC Vegas 51, and then it never happened. I was like, oh, they in Ohio? Oh, they over there? Y'all traveling now. Okay. I didn't know the world was back together. But I guess it is. So we're going to talk about UFC Vegas 51 and UFC Vegas 52, headlined by Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade. Yes, we are, ladies and gentlemen. And if you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal accounts. My personal accounts. At my name's Jermaine. I was like, why did I put an S on there? But it's like you should, because it's just Instagram's, Twitter. I'm all over the place. Search. Just look up at my name's Jermaine. You guys could email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. Anywhere you guys are listening to this podcast right now, I'd highly appreciate you if you guys just hit that like button. You know, does a tremendous help for me, and I appreciate you in advance. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys are on teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop to cop some merchandise. Not if you guys are on it. Go to that website to cop some merchandise. And lastly, be my patrons by going to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. I be doing a 5. I forget, one time I was just like, I don't know what it was. I was talking weird, and I was like, Babylon 5? So, I don't know. If you're a long-time listener, then you already caught that. You know what I'm saying? You already caught that. You ain't need no explanation. I'm going to give it to you anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give it to you anyway. So, last night, like yesterday, I got an invite to a show at Bremen Cafe for my boy Ryan, stage name Orion, and it said that Orion was performing. Orion has not texted me back. It said Orion was performing. I was like, oh shit, all right, I'm gonna check it out. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that we were off Easter Sunday, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna step out. Like my place of work is closed Easter Sunday. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm about to step out, go to this show, see what's up. Ryan's performing. And I get to the show, And I just don't see Ryan. Ryan's not in the venue. So I walked to the back where the stage is. I see Super Ego, a few other folk, and so the show, the card, if we're gonna go over that, it was Orion, Puerto Rican, and Super Ego Beats. Okay, Orion, Puerto Rican, and Super Ego Beats was the lineup for this show at Bremen Cafe. Went to high school with Ryan, that's the boy. You know what I'm saying? That's the boy in man form. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna go down there. Niggas came to my shows back in the day. You know what I'm saying? All these niggas was the niggas that showed up. So I'm gonna show up for my boy, you know. But I get to Bremen and I don't see him. You know, I get to Bremen last night and I don't see him. And then I walk back toward the bar and I see Philly. Shout out to Philly. My boy Philly Anderson, co-host of the Beats, Rhymes, and Body Slams podcast with the homie Mad Static. Shout out to them. So I see Philly, you know what I'm saying? You know, haven't seen Philly and whatever. Just chatting it up with Philly. And Philly's like, yeah, I'm just go see what's, you know, he just goes by the stage where Super Ego and everybody is. And I go cop a drink. Me and him is just chatting it up, you know. And we're just waiting. You know, niggas is showing up. You seen nigga Mike Deasy? I ain't seen Mike Deasy in a while. He looks skinny. I ain't seen Mike Deasy in a while, though. I ain't think he could get skinnier. And he looks skinny. Let's get that under control. But I was seeing hella motherfuckers I ain't seen in quite some time. Right as I was leaving, I seen Old P. Shout out to Simon. I ain't seen niggas in a... I'm giving niggas shout outs right now. I ain't seen niggas in a long time. I don't be going out like that. So shout out to Simon. But yeah, so we're chilling. Super Ego goes up to the stage and he starts saying, like, thank you all for coming out tonight. Like, we got, like, myself, Super Ego, and then Puerto Rican is gonna come up. And, like, that's all he says. He doesn't mention Orion. So I text Ryan, like, bro, are you performing tonight? And this nigga still, as I said, still has not texted me back. As far as I know, he did not show. But what I did see was pretty fucking amazing. Super Ego is fucking dope. That's the name of the artist, Super Ego Beats. Pretty tall white boy. Member of local rap crew, the Boombox Saints. You know what I'm saying? And he also started on the south side, Hip Hop Chest. It's like a hip hop chess club. Hip hop chess club, they have little kids playing chess, like just teaching kids to play chess. And it's like hip hop oriented in some way. I don't know. I don't know how it's hip hop oriented. I don't know. It was on the news and shit. It looks cool. Shout out to Super Ego. But, you know, I've heard Super Ego. I've seen him perform over the years. But this time, I'm like, damn. Bro's got the glow tonight. He was vibing. He was coming with this shit. Like, he kept saying that shit, my ninja style. That's why we're calling this episode Ninja Style. Shout out to Super Ego Beats, man. He was killing that shit. He reminded me of, like, Eminem on Infinite. You know what I'm saying? Like, this nigga sounded cold. I was like, damn, this nigga's ill. I even said to my nigga, I was like, bro, you always been this dope. He was like, nah, bro, I got better. I was like, hell yeah, bro. I was like, hell the fuck yeah, you did, bro. You sound great. So shout out to Super Ego, man. He fucking killed his set last night with at Bremen Cafe, man. He had people coming up there. You got DZ rapping, and then just getting too hyped, just getting way too hyped. I be loving DZ's the homie. DZ's the homie. It's funny because DZ be getting so excited sometimes, and then it's just like half of the freestyle is and I got the Vaseline and blah, 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 and you know what I mean. Like it's just like all gibberish except the last like word or two. That's what I love about DZ, man. When he gets hype, that's what we when he showed up at the bar, we like, man, he probably already fucked up. Like DZ's probably already wasted. But whatever, it was cool vibes in the room at Bremen. Dude, I ain't been to Bremen in so long, and there's a black dude as a fucking bartender there. That shit blew my mind, niggas. I was getting served. I was getting served almost right away. It was two black people. It was a black lady and a black man working at the bar. And I didn't have to sit there for like 2 hours before I got served. Whoa. How did that happen? It's been so long. It's been so long since I've come out to these little shows like that. But man, there was black people. There was black people working behind the bar. I thought that was pretty dope. I did not stay for Puerto Rican. Did not stay for that set. As I said, I showed up for the homie Ryan, and Ryan wasn't there. I stayed for Super Ego's set. It was dope. But as you all know, I'm old, ladies and gentlemen. I'm an old man. I can't be out here in these streets that late. It was like midnight at that point. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to call it. I'm going to fucking call it one. I ain't even trying to be out here that late. I ain't even trying to be out in these streets that late. I'm trying to be in bed by that time, my nigga. So I had to head home. But shout out to Super Ego Beats, man. Y'all should check his music out online. If you guys are in Milwaukee, look him up. Hopefully you guys can see a live show at Super Ego. But homie's dope. Homie is dope. So shout out to Super Ego. Shout out to the Hip Hop Chess Club, man. Yeah, I was very impressed with what I saw at Bremen Cafe. Shout out to y'all. But Atlanta, ladies and gentlemen. Atlanta, Season 3, Episode 5. This bad boy is called Cancer Attack. So, fucking Al is performing. Where is he performing? I think like Copenhagen or some shit like that. He's somewhere. And, they're doing the European tour. He meets this, like, Make-A-Wish kid, all right? The kid comes to the venue, he gives him autographs or whatever, and, I'll do anything for Paperboy. If it's for Paperboy, I'll do anything for Paperboy. I don't know what these weird-ass accents were. But he's like, no, I will do anything for Paperboy. It's fucking weird. I'm jumping the gun because I just thought of that little boy, and then I thought of him talking, and it was like, why does he talk like that? I don't feel like his parents didn't have the accent, but he's like, no, I will do anything for Paperboy. But anywho, his parents didn't have accents. They're like, get the fuck away from... Anywho. So he meets this Make-A-Wish kid. He leaves. They perform. Before Al performs in this concert, like, this white dude runs out on stage just like, he's here! Paperboy's here! Like, trying to get hype with the crowd, and, like, Ern screams at this dude, like, get the fuck out of it. Get off the stage, right? Boom, he gets off the stage. Al goes up, performs. After the show, Al comes back to the dressing room to discover that his cell phone has been stolen. And at this point, like, pretty much most of the people have left the venue or are leaving the venue. So, like, they're like, what the fuck? Like, where's the phone? When's the last time you saw it? And he's like, the last time I saw it was with that Make-A-Wish kid. And they're like, yo, you don't believe that he would have stole your phone? And they're like, yo, and then Socks is like, yo, I think he did it. He definitely seems like the type. It's what this white nigga Socks that they kicking it with. So Earn runs out to this kid because they walkie-talkie and they're like, yo, is the kid still here? And they're like, yeah, well, he's in the building, but they're currently rushing him out. And they're like, why? And they said, because he's having a cancer attack. And he's like, cancer attack? He's like, fuck no. And he runs to go catch this nigga. You know what I'm saying? And, because the little kid is being rushed out of the venue for having a cancer attack. And, it's just silly. So Earn runs to this little boy. He's on a stretcher. All these people are like rushing him out on a stretcher. And Earn's like, stop, I gotta talk to him. And they're like, what are you talking about? We gotta get this boy out of here. And the little boy is like sits up and he's like, no, I will do anything for Paperboy. What does Paperboy need? And I'm like, why is the nigga talking like that? And Earn just like, wow, because there's a fuck ton of people around, like the parents, the paramedics, and then just random people just around that area, just like all staring at Earn, like, what does he need from this guy? This little boy's having a cancer attack right now. And and Earn just awkwardly walks up to the little boy, like lifts up the bed sheet, just starts lifting up shit to see if the phone is there in the bed with the little boy. And then the dad like pushes him, like, what the fuck are you doing? And everybody's like starts screaming, like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, I thought he had a phone. And Earn just awkwardly walks out of there, like, what the fuck? So he comes back like, yo, little boy didn't have it. And so then their next guess is that nigga that ran out on, the white boy that ran out on stage, that nigga, that he would have been the only person that would have been backstage that had access to get to the phone. So they, through some investigation, they find out who this nigga is. They thought he was the stage manager, but it turns out he's the nephew of the guy who is filling in for the stage manager on that night. Like, nigga ain't got no business being there. No business being there. They get this nigga back. And they're trying to do this good cop, bad cop shit, interrogation to get him to just, like, admit that he has the phone. And, like, Paperboy is, like, real adamant that, like, he needs this phone back and, like, they can't just go get a new one, like a replacement. They got money. Like, at this point, they're very successful. And they're very successful music artists. They're on their European tour. Like, yeah. But Paperboy's pretty adamant that he needs this phone. And at some point in this whole conversation, he tells this boy, a little white boy, that, you know what's funny? This show's weird because they're showing, apparently, I was reading this Vulture article, and it was talking about how, like, he's a young white looking dude. And the stage manager dude, who the guy that was filling in, it's like his nephew, right? He says he's 19, but the actual dude, the nephew that they think stole the phone, says he was like, I'm not 19, I'm 32, right? And when I'm reading this article, they're saying like that's him. That's just like them trying to point out that he's wise beyond his age. But it's just like, yo, why the fuck with this nigga if he's 19? Lie and say he's 32. That shit was weird, but they just like mentioned that. Anywho, Paperboy, he was like, yo, let me be alone with this dude, and he tells him like he needs this phone back because he's now disillusioned with the music industry, and he no longer has a real passion for making music anymore, but he feels like he's gone way too far with this for him to stop and chase a different dream. And he was like, but for the first time in 7 months, he recorded a song, like a melody, in, pardon me, in that phone. He just recorded a melody, and he's like, if I don't get this phone back, then I'm going to lose it forever. And yeah, that part is just deep right there. There's also another part earlier, right? Before the show, before Paperboy performs, like if we're gonna back up, Earn and Paperboy, they're cousins, if you guys don't know. They're sitting in the room. They're sitting in the backstage in the green room, if you will, and Paperboy just says, "Earn, like, hey man, what's up? You seem busy all the time." Like it's like they're talking like in a way like they barely ever talk to each other. Is how it's coming off. And Earned is just like, busy's good. And then he just walks out of the room. And that was like their only interaction there. And it was like highlighting how like Earn is just, well, their relationship is turned from like cousins, friends, if you will, to just like cousin or manager client, and he's just trying to fix problems for Earn, for Al, trying to like just either fix things or predict when problems are going to arise and just be on top. Like that's just his whole life all the time. And he even they even touched on it in a few episodes ago with Val, when she was like, yo, you don't have, I know this is your job, but you don't have to check on me and make sure that I'm okay. Or they touched on this a few episodes ago. And he was even texting Val, and she's just not with the group right now. She's off doing her own thing, but she's just as I said, she's going off the rails, man. She's not really responding to them. She's just in a foreign country alone, just doing whatever, man. I didn't understand why she even met with them in the first place. You could have just been living your life, but now you were like, nope, I'm here where you guys are. And then I'm going to do some wild shit at this rich party. And then I'm going to just disappear and stop responding to your text messages for a week. That shit's weird. I was like, why is she even there? That's what I was thinking. Why is she even there? Now, it's even more whatever. But as I'm saying, it turns out the boy does not have the phone as they thought he did. He eventually leaves, and he's just like, I hope you find your phone. And it turns out, right, so Socks, when they found out the phone was stolen, or that the phone was lost, and they get the information for this stage manager's nephew, Socks gets on the phone, calls him, and he's like, I'm the white Liam Neeson, and I will hunt you down and bury you. And or he's like, murder you or some shit like that. I think he said murder you. And I'm just sitting there nigga, Liam Neeson is white. And then I was like, nigga, that don't even make sense. Liam Neeson is white. I'm like, bruh, that shit makes no sense. But he was going off the whole time. And it turns out that Socks was the one who stole the phone the whole time. At the end of the episode, they show him taking the phone out of his own pocket and then throwing it in the trash before he gets on back on the tour bus with Al and everybody. And he's just sitting there next to Al as Al is smoking to calm his nerves. He's stressing about losing that phone and the melody or whatever. And Socks did the shit the whole time. I felt like Socks was never to be trusted. He was never to be trusted in the first place. And the article I was reading was they let their guard down by him, but he's his whole character is this they introduced him as a dude who has who's a social force, right? He's a social force. That's how he introduced himself. He's just some white dude who feels who can convince a lot of people of he can sway narratives. That's the thing. He's a white dude who's very good at swaying narratives, and they show how he was introduced by coming to Darius's defense of those microaggressions that the girl was talking about in a few episodes. I think episode 3. In episode 3, I believe it was either episode 1 or 3. Oh, I believe episode 3. Anywho, whatever. Yeah, episode 3. Old man in the tree. In that episode, he comes to his defense for the microaggressions, and then he, like, convinces a group of fucking people to, like, band together and come at this woman. And even though this whole group of white people or whatever are like, what, they did this to you, and they're just like choosing to ignore this black person that they think they're standing up for, he keeps saying like, yo, that didn't happen, that didn't even happen that way. But they're ignoring it because Socks is telling them, he's swaying this narrative that this is what happened. So in this Vulture article, they were pointing out how in here Socks activated himself by taking the phone, and then like he stole the phone to create this whole thing, and then he performatively got super upset. I'm the white Liam Neeson. I will hunt you down and find you. Whole time he caused the whole situation. All right, but he swayed. Like when they were like, "Oh, do you think the boy with cancer stole your fucking phone?" Socks was the one. Like, yeah, he seems like the type. Socks was the one to sway that narrative, and then the second other dude came over there. He's like, "You better come." He's flipping out, and he almost called him the N-word, and they just ignored that. They brushed on it. They brushed on it for a second. They mentioned it for a second, but then they moved on. Socks was never to be trusted. He's good at swaying. He's dangerous. That nigga's dangerous to be around. Just a few instances I've seen with Socks. They need that. They need to get the hell away from Socks. They're gonna end up in an ASAP Rocky situation. Like, or maybe I don't know. He seems like a superstar. Al, that is. When they first introduced Al in this season, he was like in jail. But like the people were treating him like royalty. Like the jail, the officers, they were like, "Yes, sir, I will bring you they're bringing him his meals and shit like that. And he was like, "I'm going to take a nap. And how about you wake me up when the food's done?" And he's like, "Yes, sir, Paperboy." Like, it's just weird. Like, he's at a superstar level. So, like, maybe he couldn't end up in an ASAP Rocky situation. But having Socks there, I feel like, could definitely contribute to some things like that happening. But this is a pretty dope episode of Atlanta. It's pretty dope. Man, just reading that article, when I read these articles about when they try to break that shit down, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what this nigga was, because it's just like little moments. You watching the show, you're not gonna pick up on everything, but I was like, damn, this is a pretty dope ass episode. Some little deep things that I didn't really pick up on. But I can't wait for episode 6, man. This show is phenomenal. If you guys aren't watching Atlanta yet, get on it. What are you waiting for? It's amazing. So that was episode 5, Cancer Attack. What is it? What does Paperboy need? That shit was wild. And then we had UFC Vegas 51, finally. Headlined by Bilal Muhammad versus Vicente Luque. It was a good fight. It was a rematch from their first fight where Luque knocked Muhammad out. And this was a good fight. This was a good rematch. Muhammad, I feel like they both improved since that fight, but Muhammad has definitely stepped his striking up. He kept catching Luque with this nice 1-2 in the stand-up. He just pop him with that 1-2 and then be out of there. Like, he's in the space, pop, out of there. It was beautiful. He looked great in the stand-up. He's been talking all this shit like, Hamza can beat everybody but me. And I was like, nigga, you're probably not going to get by Luque. But he handled Luque. He looked really good. And I feel like he's more of a problem in this division than I honestly gave him credit for. I picked him last week on this podcast. And then I flipped on Instagram and went with Luque. I just been watching so many videos and watching like the finishes of Luque. Just he's so deadly everywhere with his like darces. He'll hook up a darce choke like so quickly, so perfectly. You know what I'm saying? And he'll knock you the fuck out. standing up. He will knock you the fuck out. And he had already done it. He'd already done it to Muhammad. So I flipped. All right? I flipped. When I look at Muhammad's highlight reel, it's not necessarily like, oh, shit. Did he do? Oh, shit, Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? He usually, like, grinds you out, which is what he did here. Lots of takedowns and just control while beating, like, pitter-patter. He looked like the Muslim Colby Covington, who Bilal wins this fight and he calls out Colby Covington. He would like to fight Colby Covington next. I don't believe that's going to happen. I mean, Dana White has been very vocal that he would like to do Khamzat Chimaev versus Colby Covington next. So I think what's more likely is that you'll get Bilal Muhammad taking on Gilbert Burns next. I think that's a much more likely fight. I think Burns is at 4. Yeah, Burns just dropped down to 4 after the loss to Khamzat. And you got Bilal at 5. And Bilal was saying in his post-fight interviews I was watching, he's like, I don't care if I got to fight from 4 to 5. I mean, 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. Like, fight all those fighters, I will. And it's like, well, then it looks like you're asking for the Gilbert Burns fight. So I would like to see that. I would like to see that fight next. Vicente Luque, man, I don't know. He got beat up in there. He had a real good round 3. I thought he was about to knock Bilal out, but he was not able to get the job done. I don't know where Luque, I don't know who would be a good next opponent. He just beat, like, because my thing with Luque, he's been beating everybody. He's been beating everybody already. Last year, he submitted Michael Chiesa in the very first round, submitted former champion Tyron Woodley in the very first round. In 2020, knocked out Randy Brown in the second round. Then he knocked out Nico Price in the third round. Let's go to 2019. All right. He knocked out some nigga named Derek Krantz. Won a decision against Mike Perry, but that was a pretty tough fight. He fucked Mike Perry's nose up in that fight. He had to get, like, a whole new nose after that fight. He destroyed that nigga's nose. Mike Perry looks different from that fight, since that fight. But he lost to a decision to Stephen Thompson. But he knocked out Jalen Turner. Isn't Jalen Turner a lightweight? I guess he's huge. He's big for lightweight. I guess he tried his hand at welterweight and got knocked the fuck out by by Vicente Luque. So I don't know who Luque would fight next. I mean, I just feel like had he won, you know, he was right there. I mean, shit. I don't know where he would have moved. He would have fought, because he was fighting number 6. And what was he, move up to 4? And you bump Gilbert down after that fight he just had? I don't think the rankings would have even really changed, like, had Luque won this fight. So I don't really know where he goes from here. Maybe he fights fucking, like, an upcoming guy, you know? Maybe he fights an up-and-coming guy. Like, maybe he could fight Andre Fialho, who knocked out Miguel Baeza. Man, I've been high on Miguel Baeza as a future prospect, as a potential future champion. He's coming off now 2 straight losses, and he was finished. That was the first round? Jesus. He got fucking knocked out So I took a break at work, and I put that fight on. And by the looks of the fight, I thought it was the third round. They all looked pretty, like, fucking tired. Like, they looked like a war had going on in there. But that was the very first round, and he fucking he got him with that tie clinch, and then just, just started, he unloaded like 3 or 4 fucking uppercuts on this man, and that just fucking had homeboy wobbled. He was dancing all over the place after that. And then my boy just came in, Andre Fialho just finishes it. I forgot how good Fialho was. If you guys don't remember, he had the fight with Michel Pereira, where he could have easily won that fight. He started to come on strong in that fight and could have easily won that fight. Like, had he came on strong from the first round, he would have won that fight. And that was the one lesson they said he really learned, because he was somewhat of a slow starter. That's a first-round knockout there against Miguel Baeza. So shout out to Andre Fialho. Maybe he could fight Vicente Luque next. It'd be pretty big jump, but I think he's ready for it. He looks like he's ready for it. Did not see Pat Sabatini's fight, but I saw the scorecard, and I was like, I got to watch that fight. That looks pretty good. I didn't get to see a lot of this card. It was the day before Easter Sunday. I was pretty busy at work yesterday all day, so I didn't get to catch a lot of these fights. I saw the first 2 rounds of Chris Barnett versus Martin Buday, and I was like, all right, I can get to work. I know how this is going to go. And then Martin Buday throws an illegal elbow, an intentional illegal elbow to the back of Chris Barnett's head. And the ref was like, nah, it was an accident. Let's just go to the judges. And like, Buday gets a win after throwing an intentional illegal elbow to the back of the head. I guess it happened again with another fight. I'm not sure which fight that was. Let me see. Oh, with the Caio Borralho, which is another fight, actually. They stopped that fight. I watched the first 2 rounds of that fight as well. And then, I was just leaving work at that point. I had to lock up the store and turn on the alarm and all that shit. And so I didn't see the end of that fight. And it turns out there was another controversy where something illegal happened. And they were just like, nah, let's just go to the judges, when they should not have gone to the judges. So, but, dude, this Caio Borralho guy, middleweight debut versus Gadzi Omar Gadziev. That was a good fight, 2 different clash of styles, but the sweeps I was seeing from this Caio guy, dude, oh, man, I was really impressed by his striking. I was really impressed by his grappling. That guy's going to be a problem. I don't really care about how that ended. I don't want to see any illegal things, but from what I saw that was legal, that guy looks like he's going to be a problem at middleweight. He looks good. You think I don't know, man. I don't want to just throw his name in there with Adesanya, but that's the marker, right? Is that he's the champion? So that's the marker. So it's not like it wouldn't make any sense for me to say, you think Gunnar Nelson could hang with, why would I compare him to Gunnar Nelson? I would compare him to, a champion of Gunnar Nelson fights at welterweight, so I guess that's a bad example. But you know what I'm saying. But I don't think, man, he was the sweeps, he was so good on the ground against Omar Gadziev. You don't need to know who the fuck that is to know that he's got great wrestling. You don't need to know who the fuck that is to know he's got great wrestling off his name alone. That was his first professional loss there. This is his first professional loss. Were they both? Oh, yeah. No, Caio had 1 loss before this. He's 11-1 now. And Gadzi Omar Gadziev is 13-1. Now, he's going to be a problem at middleweight regardless. Regardless of how that fight ended, he's going to be a problem at middleweight. So shout out to those guys. I was confused, why are they putting 2 debuting fighters in the co-main event? And then you got Baeza and Fialho right before that. To me, that's the co-main event. But I liked that they gave them that shine there in the co-main event. It was a good fight. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. As I'm saying, I was confused that they put it there, but it is what it is. So shout out to all the fighters on that card. It was, from what I saw, it was a pretty entertaining card. I didn't get to see everything, but it looked pretty cool. Ooh. So next week we got UFC Vegas, possibly. 52, UFC Vegas 52, I believe. This is weird. No, okay, I didn't look at all the fights. It says, well, it's not weird. It's actually popping. Because the later these cards start, the better chance I have at actually watching some fights live. And it says this card next week starts at 5 p.m. and the main card starts at 8. And I closed that store down at 9. So that means I could probably watch half of this main card. You know? I could probably watch half of this main card. I'll probably miss up to Macy Barber versus Montana De La Rosa. That's a fight on the card next week that I'd be pretty interested in. I just think Macy Barber is not the prospect we thought she was. Even in her last fight against Miranda Maverick, I thought she should have lost that fight. But I think De La Rosa's okay, but I don't think she's that good. So I don't know. That's an interesting fight. You got Sue Maderji versus Manal Cap. Like Sue, who did Sue fight? Who did Sue fight last? I believe he got a knockout in his last fight. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. He beat Zaruk Adashev. Yeah, he beat Zaruk Adashev. And he was supposed to fight Tim Elliott, but that fight was canceled. And now he has a fight with Manal Cape. I don't like Manal Cape. I'm not a big fan. And I thought his win against Ode Osborne was an early stoppage, and that really didn't sit well with me. That was an early fucking stoppage. I honestly didn't even remember he fought this Zalgas Zumagulov, and he got a TKO. He got a knockout. So that's pretty impressive, actually. I didn't know he got that one, so I'm not going to hate on him for that. I thought Ode Osborne was his last fight, and I was not into the fact of that. I was not into that early stoppage. I was not a fan. And I haven't even touched on the main event for this card, which is Amanda Lemos taking on Jessica Andrade. Now, this is a strawweight fight. It's going to be at 115 pounds is strawweight. If I'm not... Yeah, that's 115 pounds. So, I believe Andrade is moving down in weight. She's moving down in weight. She's the shorter fighter. She's going to have a 3-inch reach disadvantage in there. But we all know she's in there for that power. But I think Amanda Lemos is going to be just too skillful and too big and just too powerful for her in there. So I'm going to go with Amanda Lemos in the main event. But I overall am just looking forward to a good card. You got Clay Guida taking on Claudio. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name, and I won't even attempt to slaughter that. But I think Claudio is going to come in. I think they're setting him up to get a win against Guida in the co-main event here. I mean, I think they're trying to set up lots of people get a big win against Clay Guida, but it doesn't always work out that way. Clay Guida's a great veteran. He's scrappy, 37-18. That's experience, ladies and gentlemen. Usually don't see those kind of numbers. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting card. Some interesting fights. Lando Venata versus Charles Jourdain. Yeah, some good fights on here. So, I'm interested in that card. And I'm interested in you guys following this podcast on Instagram and Twitter. If you guys would like to follow it on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can follow my personal accounts at My Name's Jermaine. You could email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. And if you guys have made it thus far, please go ahead and hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. I'd appreciate it so much. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow this podcast at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys want to cop some merchandise, go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, if you guys would like to be my patrons, head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. to be my patrons. Thank you guys so much for being here another week. As I said, this is episode 139, Ninja Style. Shout out to Super Ego Beats with his Origin Ninja Style. Shout out to Super Ego. And shout out to you guys for being here, as I said. Hope you guys have a phenomenal week. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bang chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant